and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to make this fire effect in Blender, so let's get started. Take the default cube and convert it into a ball. For that we have to create a subsurface modifier with 2 or 3 levels and then apply. Now go to edit mode and turn on proportional edit and select inverse, square or smooth. Select the top vertex and grab on the Z axis by pressing G and then Z. Change it to sharp and move again. Delete the principal BSDF, and for the start we're gonna add a noise texture. Connect the color of the noise texture to the material output. If you have Node Wrangler add-on, press Shift T on the noise texture to create mapping and texture coordinates. Connect the object information to the vector input of the mapping node. We need a color ramp to create a contrast in the noise texture. And for the noise values, we're gonna have a 6 for scale, 15 for detail, 0 roughness, and a slight distortion value, maybe about 1.2. Let's give some color to the color ramp. Some bright red and yellow contrast can give a fire flame kind of look. You can also experiment with the colors and sliders to make your own style of fire. I'm gonna add another color ramp and give it some blue shading. This is for the color of the bottom of the flame. Okay, so first we're gonna mix these two color ramps, which gives us this reddish pinkish kind of color. What we need is a node setup that creates the blue color on the bottom and the yellowish on the top part of the flame. Right now it's just mixing these two colors by a factor of 0.5. For that we need a gradient texture, which gives this small black color on the side. We also need a mapping node with object information from the texture coordinates. So on the mapping node, we have to rotate the texture by 90 degrees on the y-axis. On the location values, change the x value to 0.3. Now this black and white color value will serve as a factor for those blue and yellowish colors from the noise texture. So the A socket will have the black value and the B socket will have the white value. So just exchange the A and B sockets. We need a more yellowish part on the top. For that we're gonna add another mix node and connect the result of the previous mix node with the B input of the new mix node. Just like the last time, this is gonna mix the colors together and we're gonna need a node setup that controls the factor. We're gonna make the same gradient texture setup, but this time the black part is gonna be on the top. For that we're gonna just rotate the gradient texture by a negative 90 degrees so that it flips the black and white values. We can change these values or these colors anytime. You can change the color of A socket to a high saturation yellowish or reddish color. So now that we have our desired colors, we have to choose a shader that best suits our material. So for the fire, we need an emission shader because it emits light just like fire does. Take the emission value to a higher number like 5 or 10. To see the effect of emission, we need to go to the render tab and turn on bloom. Now we need transparency on the parts where there is no color, like these dark parts here. So add a transparent BSDF and mix it with emission. For the transparent BSDF to work, we need to go to the material properties and change the blend mode from opaque to alpha blend. Okay, now we need the color information from the noise texture and color ramp, and we're gonna add it to another color ramp. And this black and white color ramp output is going to the factor input of the mix shader. This is going to determine that which part is gonna be transparent and which gives us the emission. Change the sliders of the color ramp and change the values of gradient texture to map the look that you like. We need one more node here to control the factor of the transparency and emission, and that's Fresnel. So add layer weight and connect the Fresnel output with a color ramp, and this gives more transparency to the edges of the flame. So mix these two color ramps now and we'll fix this node setup in a moment. But first we need a mechanism to deform the mesh into a proper flame. So in layout mode, go to the modifiers tab and add a displace modifier. Click on new and go to the textures tab and choose clouds. Now go back to modifiers and lower the strength to 0.8. Take the weight value to about 0.1 and press assign. Okay, so this will assign the weight of modifier to all the vertices but only an increment of 0.1. Now go to the weight painting mode over here and pick the gradient cursor. We have to add the vertex group in the displace modifier with With the gradient tool, make the gradients fade from top to bottom. The red color indicates full weight in like an increment of about 1, and the blue has an increment of 0. In the displace modifier, change the coordinates from local to object. Go to object mode, shift A and choose an empty object and grab it to the side. Take the color picker and choose this empty. Now this empty can control the coordinates of the displace modifier, which means if we move, rotate or scale the empty, it's going to do the same to the displace modifier. This effect is too small, so we need a subsurface modifier to add more geometry to the mesh. After tweaking the values and colors, this is what the flame looks like. Add a separate XYZ and connect the Z socket to the location input of the mapping node. Now add a value node. In the value node input, type hashtag frame divided by a number. Now when we play the animation, we can see that the texture is moving, but in the wrong direction. So we're gonna add an invert node after the value node. You can also use drivers to the empty, but I'm gonna add some keyframes here. Add a location keyframe at the frame 1, and then at frame 100, move the empty to the top and add another location keyframe. Also, you may wanna make the interpolation mode to linear. Also, if you want to have a smooth effect on these edges, then you can also add a subsurface modifier after this displace modifier, but this can be taxing to your computer. If you put an invert node in the factor input of the mix shader, it's gonna flip the transparency animation and shows a different kind of stylized fire. I created different results by changing the type of textures from clouds. For example, wood gives this kind of results in its way. Let's duplicate this mesh by pressing Shift E and S to scale it up. Delete the bottom vertices and scale by pressing S and then Shift Z to scale on coordinates other than Z axis. For this material, we don't need this gradient textures nodes here. So delete all these gradient textures and the mapping nodes and color ramps. Plug this reddish color ramp directly into the emission input and delete these mix nodes and this as well, this blue color ramp as well. And connect this color ramp right into the factor of the mix shader. Delete one slider from this color ramp and the other as well, and adjust the contrast. You can see the effect that looks like the flame of a fire. Now if you look at the whole setup, this looks much like a stylized flame. A little tip for rendering is to make the world background color more dark and increase the strength of emission node. Okay, so that's almost all the node setup and modifiers and stuff used in this tutorial. You can change the colors and values to have different results. Okay, so that's all for today's video, and I hope you learned something from this video. And if you have any questions, do let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.